You were not born to crawl through life. You were not designed to taste defeat and call it destiny. And yet, here you are, trapped, frustrated, exhausted by the cycle of almost and maybes. You start things with fire and end with ash. Your dreams whisper at midnight, but by morning, they're gone. Let me tell you something they never taught you in school. You are not failing because you're not smart enough. You're failing because you're still asleep. Asleep in the mind, asleep in belief, asleep in discipline. You keep failing because deep down you've accepted average. You've made a home in the comfort zone and called it safety. But the comfort zone is not safe. It's a slow death. Listen to me. The most dangerous lie in the world isn't you can't do it. It's you can do it later. Later is a myth. Later is a thief. Later has stolen more dreams than failure ever has. And right now it's robbing you. Look around. Look hard. The winners, the builders, the legends, they bleed too. But they don't stop. They don't make excuses. They don't get seduced by one day. They wake up, they take the hit, and they rise again. You think Edison only failed a few times? Try 10,000 failed prototypes. 10,000 ways that didn't work. And still he pressed forward. Because every failure wasn't a wall. It was a step. Every defeat wasn't an ending. It was a refining fire. But you fall once and call it a sign. You trip and call it fate. You hear no and assume it means never. And that is why you keep failing. Because failure isn't the problem. It's what you do after failure that determines your destiny. Let me make this clear. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not the opinions of people who never tried. You are potential wrapped in pressure. You are greatness waiting on a decision. But here's the brutal truth. Potential means nothing without movement. Desire means nothing without discipline. Vision means nothing if you close your eyes when it gets hard. You don't need more motivation. You need conviction. There's a reason your life hasn't changed. Because deep down, you're still living with doubt at the wheel. And doubt doesn't build empires. Doubt doesn't change the world. Doubt doesn't wake up early, face the fear, and do it anyway. Clarity is power, not inspiration. Not luck, clarity. When Andrew Carnegie met a young Napoleon Hill, he gave him a task. Spend 20 years studying the richest men in the world and uncover the secret to success. Hill did it, and the secret wasn't genius. It wasn't education. It wasn't privilege. It was purpose, definiteness of aim, a white-hot, all-consuming vision that burned through resistance. How clear is your vision? How deep is your why? If you can't answer that in one sentence, you're already losing. Your life doesn't change when the world shifts. It changes the moment you decide. Decide that your excuses are no longer welcome. Decide that your past is not your prophecy. Decide that the time is not later. The time is now. And clarity comes from movement, not waiting, not planning forever, not trying to get it perfect. Clarity shows up when you start walking, when you put your hand to the plow and say, I'm building this or I die trying. Let's talk about belief. Not the kind of belief you post on Instagram. I'm talking about a movable belief. Belief that survives rejection, starvation, mockery. Belief that stares at a mountain and doesn't see height. It sees victory. That belief is not given. It's built. It's what drove Henry Ford when they told him the V8 engine was impossible. What did he say? Build it anyway. And they did, because he believed beyond logic, beyond data, beyond the limits of the minds around him. You keep failing because your belief cracks under pressure. It's made of sugar, not steel. You believe until it hurts, until it's lonely, until the world doesn't clap. But success doesn't care about applause. Success belongs to the obsessed, to the stubborn, to the unreasonable. You must become unreasonable. Unreasonable enough to demand more of yourself, to expect more from your time, your mind, your circle, to say no to average so violently that it has no choice but to leave. Belief is built by doing the thing you swore you couldn't, and doing it anyway, every single day. And what about discipline? Discipline is the bridge between wanting and winning. Wanting doesn't build wealth. Wanting doesn't sculpt greatness. Wanting is cheap. Discipline is sacred. You will not rise until you master the mundane, the early mornings, the cold showers, the reading when you're tired, the working when you're uninspired. You think Disney only drew when he was motivated? He was rejected by every newspaper and studio in town, fired for lacking imagination, and yet he built a kingdom. Because discipline beats rejection. Discipline beats emotion. Discipline becomes who you are when your vision burns hot enough. You have to stop being addicted to the high of motivation. That's not the path. The path is repetition. The path is obsession. The path is showing up when no one's watching. The gym when no one claps. The keyboard when no one reads. The grind when no one believes. You keep failing because you keep quitting. You stop when it hurts. You stop when it gets hard. But champions don't stop when it's hard. They stop when it's done. There is no shortcut, no trick, no secret formula. The path is paved with sweat, scars, and silence, and most won't walk it. But you were meant to walk it. You were not born to blend in. You were born to become a force, a storm of intention, a weapon forged in the fire of your own will. But you must choose it. You must become it. And you must refuse to be anyone else. Vision, without it, you're a ship in the night, wandering, drifting, mistaking movement for meaning. You chase goals you don't even want because you never sat down and asked yourself, what was I made for? Let me tell you this. Vision isn't a luxury. It's survival. The world is loud, distracting, addicted to urgency. And without a clear vision, you will chase everything and catch nothing. The vision must burn. It must be specific. It must be so personal, so intimate, so necessary that the very thought of dying without it shakes your soul. Steve Jobs saw the future before the world saw the first pixel. Wright brothers saw wings before the wind ever lifted a body. Mandela saw freedom from a prison cell. And you? What do you see when your eyes are closed? What do you see that no one else can yet touch? Because that is your gift. That is the raw blueprint of destiny, begging for your devotion. But vision without purpose is fragile. It shatters under pressure. Purpose is the armor. It is the reason beneath the reason. It is what wakes you at 5 a.m. when the world sleeps. What keeps your spine straight when failure tries to break it. Your purpose isn't just a career. It's not a title or trophy. It is your reason for breathing with intensity. Walt Disney didn't build Disneyland for rides. He built it because he believed imagination could shape reality. What do you believe in so fiercely that you would sacrifice comfort to see it live? Until you answer that, you will keep falling, because only purpose can survive the storm. But here's what no one tells you. Even with vision and purpose, you will suffer. You will fall to your knees. You will be betrayed. You will cry in the dark with no one watching. That's not a punishment. It's preparation. And in that suffering, you will meet the only thing that matters. Gratitude, not the fluffy kind. Not the right 3 things in a notebook kind. Real gratitude. The kind that says, I am thankful even for the pain, even for the delay, even for the detour. You keep failing because you curse the hard moments. You resist the very pressure that is sculpting you into something worthy. But hear this, gold is refined by fire. Diamonds are crushed coal. Stars are born in chaos. And you are no different. Every setback is fuel. Every heartbreak is data. Every loss is a sharpening. Gratitude makes you unbreakable. Because when you can thank life for the storm, you become the eye of it. Still, focused, unshaken. And that is where resilience is born. Not in talent, not in genetics, in the decision to stand back up. Abraham Lincoln lost more elections than he won. Faced war, loss, humiliation, but he refused to yield. And because of that, history bowed to him. Resilience isn't loud. It's quiet. It's a decision you make in private that no one sees. The inner vow, I will not quit on myself again. You say you want success, but do you want it enough to be humiliated, to be misunderstood, to be laughed at, doubted, isolated, and still say, I will rise? You will only win forever when you stop needing others to believe in you. You must believe enough for all of them combined. And when you stumble, because you will, resilience says, I expected this. Let's go again. But resilience without adaptability becomes stubbornness. And stubbornness kills momentum. You must pivot when life demands it. You must evolve. This is not a straight path. You may have to change cities, strategies, jobs, friends, methods, but never the mission. Thomas Edison didn't just invent the light bulb. He reinvented himself with every failure. Because true winners are not rigid. They are fluid. They bend without breaking. Adaptability is the skill that will keep you in the game long after others burn out. It is humility. It is wisdom. It is a courage to say, this isn't working, but I still am. I will find another way. You keep failing because you're married to the method instead of the mission. Let go, refine, redirect, and never stop moving. Now listen. All of this vision, purpose, gratitude, resilience, adaptability, it builds toward one thing. The moment you break through, it won't come with trumpets. It won't feel like a movie. It'll sneak in the quiet. You'll wake up one day and realize you've become the person you used to dream about. Not because you were lucky, not because the stars aligned, but because you refused to die the same person you were last year. You will look in the mirror and see someone who did not settle, who did not compromise, who clawed their way out of mediocrity one brutal inch at a time. And then you'll know, this is what it means to win forever. Not the money, not the praise, not the likes, the status, the applause, but this, to rise every day knowing you honored your potential, to fall asleep each night knowing you gave every drop of effort, clarity, courage. To stand alone and still be full. This is how you win forever. By becoming the kind of person who can't be owned, who can't be broken, who can't be stopped. You don't just chase goals. You embody greatness. You live with fire. You walk with thunder. And you die with nothing left unused. Now listen closely, because this is the part no one prepares you for. Winning, real winning, doesn't feel like fireworks. It doesn't feel like the movies. It's quiet. It's raw. It's earned in silence. It happens after 1,000 unseen battles you thought you'd never survive. And one day, without warning, the world will look at you and call it overnight success. But you'll remember the nights you cried so hard your ribs ached. The mornings where the alarm hit, like a punch to the soul. The days when you felt like a ghost in your own life. But you moved anyway. You chose anyway. You showed up anyway. And that is how you win forever. Not because life gave you a throne, but because you built one with your bare hands and dared to sit on it. Let me tell you something brutal and beautiful. There will never be a perfect day to begin. There will never be a moment when all lights are green, all signs say yes, all fear disappears. You're waiting for peace before you begin the war. But that's not how this works. You begin in the chaos. You begin with shaking hands. You begin with doubt in your gut and grit in your spine. You begin now, or you don't begin at all. And yes, you'll fall again. But you won't fall the same. You'll fall forward, wiser, sharper, harder to kill. Because every time you fall now, you know who you are. You know what you're made of. You walked through fire and didn't just survive. You became the fire. And once you become fire, you never beg the world to keep you warm. So I'll ask you now, right here, in this moment, in this breath, what are you still waiting for? Permission? You already have it. A sign? This is it. Guarantees? There are none. The only guarantee is this. If you keep living like you are, if you keep running from your own greatness, if you keep negotiating with comfort, you will die with regret as your final companion. But if you rise, if you decide, if you burn the ships and say, I'm all in no matter how long it takes, then nothing on this earth can stop you. You will fall. You will bleed. But you will not lose. Because true victory is not a moment. It's a mentality. Winning forever means you don't stop. Ever. Not when it's hard. Not when it's lonely. Not when no one claps. You keep showing up. You keep growing. You keep carving your legacy into the bones of time with your bare hands. And one day, your name will not be forgotten. Not because it was shouted, but because it was earned, etched into the hearts of those who watched you rise. Again and again and again. This is how you win forever. Now go and never look back.